life in. Short story, as always. When I say these last few weeks, I have spent like time. And I don't even think this is clear right now. Organizing, doing some spring cleaning, so to speak. And the day that I actually prioritized getting some recording done, it's amazing what just doesn't want to be accessible. Like my sound card. Notice we do not have a microphone right now. Sound card gone. Microphone stand completely gone. It's like everything was organized, and those are two things that was technically separate. It's just amazing to me. And I haven't really accepted it. That's why I keep looking for it. But whatever, the show must go on. I used to do my intros saying, the Melanin Mom, aka Beauty Bellissimo, but I've grown up a little bit and I have decided to change my name. So if you're new here, please be sure to follow me on my socials. I am Nia. And if you're a returning subscriber, you already know the vibes of how we get down. So like I said, yeah, finally able to get some recording done today. So much has been on my mind as always. Life update, nothing major going on except the kids, as you see. I'm sure they're all looking crazy, just fed Zakai. He's down now, thankfully. And what else? School is about to be done next month. The 12th to be exact. So I'm super excited about that. Obviously, you guys already know. If you have been already following me on my socials, you know I've been somewhat trying to capture that, as well as, elaborate on those experiences as much as I can. So I'll be, looking forward to just touching base once it's all over, because it has been the journey. But nonetheless, so welcome to Phases Podcast, the unpopular genre. And it's definitely been a minute since I put out this camera. I kind of like reverted back to my old ways. I'm like, I gotta work it back in now. And honestly, it's just nothing else other than the obvious. Like I said, school, momming, obviously deserves my first priority. It's, my first priority. So now that things are slowing down and I'm starting to tap back into like what life is looking like after school, now I'm starting to be able to prioritize getting some, some episodes in, because I really do talk about my podcast all the time, and I'm like, girl, you haven't even uploaded a pod this year. My last one was definitely last year, so technically this is the first one of the year, but like I said, life be lifing and other things take our priorities. So I'm just glad to make sure that I'm taking care of what needs to be taken care of. I'll drink to that. Yum, yum, yum. So I have something pour into the platform today, because life be life, and that's all I can say. First order of business I wanted to just dive right into, because I was going to do a separate video, but no need. I really just wanted to talk about projecting of insecurities, right? A major thing that is just going on today. And the one way I feel like people are projecting their insecurities is in relationships. Yeah. It's actually funny, the last episode that I did record, we were talking about like all men cheat and then people running with that theory. And it's so crazy. It was the way, the sound, it was like a few things that I just wasn't comfortable dropping as a full episode. You probably can see those short films like that I took from that episode and uploaded still. But as far as the full lay down for that episode, like we were really getting into this topic. And pretty much it was a clip from someone that you definitely know. I know. We'll leave the name alone because it's not even important anymore. But long story short, I've been constantly seeing this repetitively even since I recorded that episode, which was back in December. And it's just really just insane to hear women say these things about relationships and all men cheating and, just so many things. And it's like projecting your insecurities. Like, people are just projecting their insecurities all the time. And I just feel like a lot of times what I have come to realize, you know what I'm saying? True red flags. If somebody can so easily, first of all, the word all right there is just red flag number one. Anybody with like that mentality where they say, oh, all people do this, all people do that. No, all nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, everybody. We don't live in like a robotic world. Even if people, may have the same beliefs, may have been raised the same, so forth and so on. You're always going to double back to something being different. You know, something being different. I just hate social media sometimes because it's almost like how I be talking about when I used to say in pre-line at school, right? Where you had different levels of people complaining, right? About, let's just say the educator or the teacher. So here's the educator. You have your first, level of people that's complaining. But these are also maybe your students that have, good attendance. They're doing their part. They're showing up. They're taking accountability. So their complaints is going to be a lot different than the second level, let's say. Maybe those that may still have some real life going on. They're not able to commit to, this experience as much as they may have intended or may have wanted to. And then you have the last ones that literally don't want to take accountability, usually want to place blame of some sort onto someone else so that way they don't have to be accountable for themselves. Every level complaint is going to be different. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, usually level one, yeah, you have more grounds for complaints because at least you know you're not really projecting your insecurity onto why why school may not be going the best way that you may want, versus like these other people that don't do the work, don't really want to change and kind of just want to stay stuck, want to keep using the same excuses. It's like, this is how really it be really in life. Like, you have really women who ignore so many red flags, right? Settle in whatever type of situation that they're in. I can't even say settle in relationship because half the time it be, not even the intention of a relationship. I think what the biggest aspect that we need to just go off of in life is that life is a revolving door. If you get hurt, you go through a bad breakup, you do one thing and it's called heal, and it just really just highlights how people think life is so permanent. Changes on a daily basis, and honestly we need to be changing along with it, so to speak. Not in the sense of where we're going like today's time and just like demoralizing a lot of things or not really sticking to the things that's of tradition, but more so like, and like I said, sometimes we can just get comfortable in these whether it's in relationships, like we take too much for granted. So a lot of times we think, oh, I have time for this will always be here, I may have time to figure this out. You do not. I was just saying it like I've say so many times. Life is not like it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, where you can make a wrong turn, dabble in this area for some years, come on back, and maybe skip another little turn and have a little life lesson that sits you down another few more years and still be trying to get it back together by the time you're 40. No. It's honestly by the time you look up and blink, you're 40, and I just really wish people would have more of a open mind, but definitely more of a unstagnant mind. Even when we sit up here talking about this nonsense about people thinking that like everything's an all. For example, I must say I thought this, but I definitely can't say I was like gun ho. Like, this is definitely how I feel. But prior to, obviously, my boyfriend, my son's dad, he had children prior to us getting into a relationship. I was always the person like, oh, I can't do nobody with kids because men seem to always like still have something going on with their baby moms, and that is just like the greatest lie. Not even off the strength of me in a situation that really you can see firsthandly, like this is not really how it is. But since you go into that situation, it kind of opens your mind like, oh wow, like this is really so simple. You always hear that too. Oh, I don't want to date a man with kids, or I don't want to date a woman with kids because Girl, it's so simple. You know, and I think where the problem comes in, people have to take initiative and realize how much time they don't want to waste. You know, if I literally look back at my life, I was never that. If you know Nia, you know, it's funny because I'm saying my name. If you know Nia, you know I did not waste time, especially valuable time, in any relationship, or definitely never, I never dated unless it was serious. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing I definitely realized at a young age is that a relationship can take you so many ways, you know, and especially at that time, I'm like, well, shoot, if we ain't talking about marriage, then what we talking about, you know? And I'm so glad that mentality saved me from so many situations. Like, I just never played those games, and I can, like I said, see why I've just have saved myself from many things, you know, having that mind frame. But one thing for sure, cheating's a non-negotiable. Like, people really be negotiating this. And I feel like I said, once you realize how easy it is to waste time in relationships, I think you'll literally like find, like, navigate that better. And then it's like, on top of that, I've always stood on how I am treated. What? I think I feel like I've talked about this for sure, but when I started like really learning to love myself, it wasn't no social media crazy. You know what I'm saying? Literally, it was authentically, why do I want to, and going about doing so. You know, before all this social media stuff and all this self-love and, you know, journeys and everything that honestly a lot of people just like to jump to do, rather it's a relationship that may provoke it or a heartbreak that may provoke it. Like, I literally can say I authentically did it at the best time, you know? So, gearing into my adult years, I had a firm idea on what I wanted, and at least the stable, what do I want to say? Like, I was pretty level-headed with knowing, like, the direction in which I wanted. But I think the piece that always was missing was not having a man really show me the type of love that was necessary, and going off of the image or the prediction that I already had, you know. That was really the part, like, really. And as I've gotten older, and I've seen like women, as well as even younger women, like have or like be daddy's girls, or like really have that bond with their father that they really should have. Like, every girl really needs that. So many issues would be like eliminated if girls really had that type of guidance. Sometimes people just definitely need to be shown. Exposure is a big deal. You know, when people are not really exposed to certain things that are good for them, I feel like it definitely plays like a huge role on growth. You know, we stay stuck in certain places, you know, and a lot of times we go off of like what we seen growing up. So, but it's a flip side to that, because I was about to say, you know, like the good old saying goes, or, you know, example goes of a parent. You might have a dad that is an alcoholic, and then you got two sons. One son might become an alcoholic. The other son might never want to drink off the strength of what he's seen. So it's kind of sometimes could be like that, regardless if we, you know, we've seen certain aspects of relationships or whatever the case may be. I just feel like you need to know what you want, and no matter what you came from, be going right after that, you know. I'm so big on breaking generational curses, and I know sometimes people be like, you know, what is a generational curse, you know, but it's like, that's a really real conversation, and that's something like a lot of problems will not become generational curses if people just did what they were supposed to do. That's that. So it's more so touching along the lines, since that has not happened, what do you want to change for yourself versus, you know, what circumstances you may have been in. Not only projecting insecurities is just crazy, but one thing about women that I have learned more throughout this 10-month experience at this school is that we have a really hard time taking accountability, and we have a really hard time seeing that when we are the problem. And this is what I've always said, and I'll say it again: people can only do what you allow. You are not a qualified candidate for a relationship if whatever happened previously is affecting you in a negative way today, you know. And baby, y'all, you know, I can go there, you know, talking about it, you know, and even my experience, like even now, being years later, like in this space that I am, it's nothing you can really tell me about being able to change, and you know how you can really just grow with life, you know, because people, so many people stay stuck, and if I literally was like, hey, I don't see myself, I don't want to ever touch marriage again, like what are we talking about, you know, like why would I block my blessings from really going about what I want, because we made the wrong moves, you know, maybe we just didn't see things for really what it was, you know. Sometimes those losses are some of the greatest lessons, and I can surely tell you that that is, it can be if you allow it, because I also know a lot of people that have gone through my situation, especially on a divorce tip, that are so miserable. Baby, you don't even have to worry about a man, because one is not even looking at you, you know, because that is the way that it looks on older, like as we get older, certain things are just mad unattractive, right? And misery, heartbreak, scorn, like people that act broken as if they can't be fixed, and as if, you know, you can't change. And then not only that, but projecting off negativity are so unattractive. Like I can't even sit amongst people like that. Off the strength of your mind is so stuck that there's no beneficial thing of me sitting and conversing with you. There's nothing good that can come from it, because my mind is honestly so far from you, or at least should be, that there's no benefit that you have. Your like negativity is so and the crazy part, you don't, it's not even a relationship. We could take childhood trauma alone and see how people wear that every day and how unattractive it really is. It really is. And you know, granted, you can say only so much. You know, you can really say so much. But in all actuality, I feel like we all are just need to be accountable. Like it's no other, we will never get the results if we don't be accountable. You know, and like I said, for my situation and the things that I've seen, I literally, now granted, I've gone about things in a way that's definitely I wouldn't have agreed with initially. Like if I could do it all again, would be so many things that I would do different. But I also know the mind frame that I was existing in to get me certain things that, or to put me in certain positions, you know, like for example, even after I dated, you know, I didn't hop back into a marriage. You know, honestly, it wasn't the fact that I was like, oh no, I don't want to get married. I think it was definitely like before it was a public thing, I don't want to get married again, because it's just the things that I was doing, like it's like, okay, you just don't care, right? But once I like really sat down, I'm like, listen, you are at a space right now where you can change it right now, or continue on down this road and see where it gets you, and watch it counteract anything you would have planned on the long term. And it's like I didn't want that for myself. So once again, accountability. I took accountability for part I played. And once you do that, you're like, wow, well maybe, granted, you may have not been the full problem, but you're definitely partial part of the problem if you allow certain things to go on, or certain things to continue even after you realize that, you know, the issue, and you do nothing about it. That's where the real problem comes in, because a lot of times we really don't know. Like you can be in a situation so caught up, and it's going to take you turning around like, god dang it, I feel stuck. Like I feel like what I want I can't get. It seems far-fetched. Like you just feel like it's this constant pullback. At some point, you are going to have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, where is the real pullback? And once you do, you'll really realize that the problem will be you if you continue to stay in any situation that is not serving you. And one thing, let me tell you, because it's so funny, it's not fun, but like when I hear certain conversations, because I've just matured past so many things. But when we're still talking about something as basic as cheating, you know, it is, it's honestly the most uncalled for thing ever, right? So when you like hear about it and see about it, but more so when you hear how the ropes that people are being taken on from men and women, it's like, why are you doing this to yourself? You're doing it to yourself. You know, you can believe in all that forgiveness and, you know, that old mentality of, oh, fight together, stay together, everything. But let me tell you something. It's a lot different today than it was back in our, and I can't even really say our parents' time, our grandparents' time. You know, all that staying together and stuff. People have literally become so selfish, okay, that they choose now to say, if we are talking about marriage, you have some male or female that will literally go out and rather, it starts with the mental, right? That's why I say cheating is so much deeper than what people try to put on. That's why I don't play that. But it starts with the mental first, right? So when you even opening that door to go down that road, that's where you lost me, you know. And that's why I feel like people got to stop, because there's a difference cheating where we're talking about you getting into a situation where it's just like, I mean, I don't even want to say, because this even comes with questions, but say if it was a situation where like you literally just got caught up in a moment, that even comes with analyzing that caught up in a moment even close. Like, what are we really talking about? And like I said, the circumstances would literally have to be right on, you know, it would have to be certain situations, you know. But I feel like you have times now where people are just so ungrateful. People are so greedy. They lust for this lifestyle that this internet wants to put out so much that they really sometimes do think the grass is greener on the other side, you know. And granted, you have some situations where, you know, people go through cheating, and they're able to like pick it up and kind of carry on. But you know, when you think even deeper, like when people are married and they choose to like ruin their families, the pick up of life afterwards is so deep, you know. And I feel like I really have seen that even when I went through my situation. We ain't gonna touch too much on it because I do actually have something we're gonna be talking about that in more depth, just because I've been definitely getting some interesting questions and conversations that I've been having. I'm like, yeah, we need to be bringing this on and talking about this. But the humiliation, let alone the emotional toll that just comes with infidelity, you know, especially I don't, when children are involved, it's like, you know. But once again, even when you talk about loving yourself, you really have to take life for what it is, and sometimes really recognizing that, one, nobody's perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. But since you know that nobody's perfect, who you're choosing to have a life with is also important. You know, even now in my age right now, I ain't got time for no man who can't think for himself. I don't got time for no man who's saying he in any situation or circumstance and ain't got control over nothing that he's doing. You are kidding me. We are not 5. You know, I'm all about wisdom and you making the right choices, you know. Even now, like I said, when I went into having my son, I couldn't say I was opposed to marriage, you know, because I definitely, if I could, the only thing I could say if I would have went back and did something different was just chose to have my son be in a married situation. But I also know I was really willing to just take my time and ease that into love a little bit. Honestly, no matter if it did go sour, you know, or if it did end up working out for the long term better, you know, because at the end of the day, it has taught me a lot in this relationship, especially applying all the things that I did genuinely learn from, you know, going through a divorce. I will never, even if I had to date again and go through it again, I will never give up that idea of what I want long term. Because one thing I have come to realize too, children need foundation. Who knows by the time my son is, you know, of school age, how many families he's going to see, you know, or how many, you know, solid foundations, you know, because not all the time does a solid family have to come from two parents. I mean, I know plenty of situations you got two parents and it ain't all what it's chopped up to be, you know, but it's just more so about solid, you know, because one thing about me and my son's dad, regardless if we in a relationship or not, we taking care of ours, you know, and at least if a relationship was there or not, or even if, you know, say he ended up not getting married, you know, we still got one heck of a foundation for our son, and we are going to surely make sure that he's taken care of, you know. Not everybody having kids with everybody has that mutual understanding, you know, or where they're tight in like that. And that about to bring me to another conversation about co-parenting, where we ain't even got thought like that. But we will for sure. Let me write that down. Actually, I had some topics that I said I was, cause child, my mom be just rambling while I'm doing this hair at school, child. It's really insane. But I'm gonna write that down. But yeah, like you gotta be more, you gotta know what you want, but just know that life is serious, and one false move, favorite lyric from Meek. One false move, you're a goner. Like, literally, a lot of people, and it's sad to say, because like I said, it's not like it was back in the day. You could take 2 left turns, make a right, and still do what you need to do before 40. No. When time you break up, you're like, yo, where did time go? So it's like, value yourself first, because I guarantee you, once you value you, you ain't letting anybody just come near you. You ain't letting anybody just come waste your time. You ain't letting just any, and from whatever situation you're coming from. Because like I said, life is a revolving door. You may do all the right things, check off the, you know, all the checks, cross the T's, dot the I's. Something can still happen. Now you are a single parent. You know what I'm saying? Now you are divorced. You know, life, revolving door. Anything can happen. You know, that's why I say you gotta be a little bit lighter and really appreciate so many things with life, because it can change. It can change, you know, and the best way to just deal with some of that change is by controlling what you can control, you know, and literally leaving the nonsense alone. But staying stuck in that mentality that people want to constantly project on people, I can tell you right now, not all women cheat, not all men cheat. And honestly, the situations, circumstances that I do hear surrounding cheating, it's like, baby, I hate to say it to you, but that was a little obvious. That was a little obvious. Even in my circumstance, when I've really sat down, me and my lady, me and the therapist lady, I really broke some things down. I'm like, God dang it. Wow. And didn't know though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't accept what you don't know for real. You know what I'm saying? So the problem is just once you realize it, what do you do then? You know? And one thing I can say, a little tip or a little gem, is that any woman or man, first of all, that cheats, first of all, the older you get, the more you realize, like, oh my God, the amount of effort, of trust, and just everything that you're rebuilding at that point, it's going to be exhausting. Very exhausting. So that, like, it's just so deep. It's so deep. It's so deep. I was about to go deep with it, but long story short, stick to your non-negotiables. You know what I'm saying? And because sometimes once you really realize, like, you might be like, oh dang, I think I'm missing out, or I think this might be the wrong curve. Anybody that doesn't appreciate you and that can, you know, go about life not caring how something can affect you, and then all the more so be caught up in the rapture so much that they're doing things that they're later regretting multiple times. Need I say more? Like, now the problem really is you, because I used to really be cracking up. I used to tell my sister all the time, I'm like, yo bro, if you really would have ever cheated on me, bro, it would be laughable. Why? Because the way you talk, bro, it would be laughable. It would be laughable. Because you talk so heavy. Like, I probably can't say I would never respect you, but you would just be a joke. You would be a joke for real. But yeah, like, because it really cheating at this big age, bro. If you're doing any cheating in your late 20s, early 30s, period, let alone 40s and beyond, you're a joke. Like, you're a joke. Like, seriously. You're seriously a joke. And, you know, don't be joking back with the jokester. Let them joke by themselves. People, when it comes to even maturity levels, we're all on different levels. You know, what has happened for Sarah to get her maturity level up is the experiences that she's went through. Whatever's happened for Jeremiah to get his experiences and his maturity where it is at, it's the experiences he went through, you know. So sometimes certain experiences is the only way to mature us into the mind frame that we need to be in. That's why I always say, don't stay, stick to your values, because evaluate those men or women that mess up circumstances and situations. Guarantee, if they really have taken accountability, their next situation, way more better. Sometimes you just need to be the friendly person and just let people kindly dismiss people right out your life, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And especially when you see people who, and I'm just looking at my time, I'm not giving, you know, too much notes. Make sure the camera ain't cut off. But when you see people who have like gone through infidelity multiple times and just that whole revolving door of just dysfunction, look at how it wears and tears on you. You know, a lot of times that comes with attachment issues. You don't have good boundaries. You know, if you can attach to anything that's not fulfilling you or adding to your general purpose and bringing you happiness, it's not worth it. Because these days that we're living in, it takes too much to be happy. You know, even prioritizing peace and doing all these things, it's like it takes a lot of work. You about to just give that to anybody or waste your time with anybody? Battery's dying. Hold on. And you know, another reality. Oh, my microphone sits we're dysfunctional today. Another reality is, you know, once again about being small-minded. Because like I said, sometimes it's really just not a good match, right? You are very small-minded if you think you're only existing in a place because this is all you can get. There is nothing better. Let me tell you, all these women that like to run around, and I say women just as a target off the strength of what I'm around all day, right? That want to just talk about these no good men. That's like, granted, there are really much no good men, but I don't even, why are you even, if you're not looking for the no good men, why are you amongst them? Because truly I can say, oh, they're out here. And I'm not saying that, oh, like I'm looking, no, but granted, I have a man. I don't need to entertain anything. But at the end of the day, you still see what's out here, you know, and it's like you only want to go after more when you're unsatisfied. I'm cool. But what I can say, there is still some nice gentlemen out here. Just like there are still some nice women out here. You know, you just literally have to be finding yourself in those corners, you know, to find what works for you, because you might have to date a few, you know, everybody don't work for everybody. You know, and that's a whole nother conversation in itself. But you just staying somewhere because you think that there's no better. There are some nice folks out here. You know what I'm saying? You just need to get out of whatever situation you're in to go figure that out. But don't stay in nothing that's not healthy. Because like I said, time is too precious, but life is so precious. Like, you sitting up here stressing, not at peace. Who's to say you literally gonna have the opportunity to wake up and find it the next day? You know, and that's just real talk. And a lot of people don't want to always take it to the serious matters of life. But my thing is, where else can we go? Even with myself, I stay checking myself. That's why it's like nothing you can really say to me that I haven't already said to myself. Like, I stay checking myself. And honestly, I hold myself more accountable than anything. So, and it's just sad, especially when you hear some of these stories about girls getting pregnant and the men is just doing stuff. It's like, honestly, if anything that I have really stood on in my relationship as well as friendships, I'm not going to be tolerating no nonsense. I'm too old, and honestly, I've been through too much. And sanity is very important, because that's another thing. You want to be out here playing around and dealing with just anybody, or letting people have chance after chance after chance after chance, playing with your sanity. You're human. So sometimes that human reaction is to let it go. If your human reaction is to work through it, you need to have the human reaction of discernment, so that way you can really know it's worth, you know, working through. These days, people are what? Standing ovation for some of the performances that get put on today, just for the sake of not wanting to really lose it. But at the end of the day, people don't really cherish things as much as they should. Like, honestly, I've always cherished life, but I must say I've cherished life way deeper after having my son. Because if you know, which you probably didn't, because I didn't think I dropped that video yet. When I had my son, both me and him was almost out of here. You know what I'm saying? And what it just made me realize, and you know, as a brief interlude into that video, what it made me realize was, you know, nothing is promised, but kind of reiterated what it did for my divorce. Like, you can plan things to go one way and life is going to hit you, you know. And that's why the best thing you can do is just make the best choices, so that way when life does hit you, it doesn't knock you off your feet. It might be like, ooh, that took me back. I needed to learn that. But you don't not get knocked off your feet. You can really, that's a whole nother level. Hold up, is my wig crooked? You know, glueless, baby, glueless. So that is that.